13 mark. Away to a pretty good even break. Run to Me, one of the first to show. Run to Me as they come to the first, with Big Brown Bear and Captain Parkhill right up there, and Hill of Slane also, and Freddie B and Preben Fur. On a Promise jumps it to one of the back markers, but all safely over the first and running down to the second. Run to Me, Regal Pleasure, Captain Parkhill right up there, Royal Mere on the inside, Cloncormick, and all safely over that one, and now racing down to the chair, to this very daunting fence, with Glenrue making ground over on the far side, spotting with his white face, with Royal Mere right upsides him, Regal Pleasure on the inside. And are they all over the chair? Yes, they are. They're all over the chair, coming down to the water now, with Royal Mere taking him along from Glenrue and Freddie B and Regal Pleasure. Then comes Big Brown Bear and Run to Me, and behind Run to Me is Brahms and List, and they're all safely over the water too, so all 22 standing. Staunton is the back marker. They swing left-handed here past the Grand National start. Glenrue on the inside, Regal Pleasure, then comes Freddie B. Behind them come Lumper Eater and Run to Me. Then behind Run to Me is Brahms and List and Captain Parkhill and Mac Oliver on the inside. And as they cross the Melling Road, Regal Pleasure on the outside. On the near side it's Glenrue. Between horses it's Royal Mere, and over to John Hanmer.
And Regal Pleasure just stuck to the left for a moment there, but he's all right now, and he's disputing the lead with Royal Mere and Glenrue. Then comes Freddie B just in behind them. And coming to the next fence, Bronco's Cousin, the first faller, and Royal Mere led over the sixth from Glenrue. Captain Parkhill a faller here, and another faller was Medway Gauntlet. And coming to this big ditch right in front of us here, and Glenrue and Royal Mere from Freddie B, then Regal Pleasure, Big Brown Bear, Brahms and List, Cloncormick, Run to Me, Mac Oliver, and Preben Fur, and then comes Nickel Moppet and Bright Oasis as they jump the next. And it's Glenrue in the lead as we join Julian Woods.
Glenrue, behind him is Freddie B, towards the outside is Regal Pleasure, Royal Mere still well there as they come to the one before Beechers, with Glenrue with his white face still in front. Regal Pleasure made a mistake. Behind those is Freddie B and Royal Mere. Then a gap back to Big Brown Bear on the inside, and Run to Me as they come down to Beecher's Brook, with Royal Glenrue in front. Honor Promise has been pulled up, but at Beecher's it's Glenrue over. Freddie B. Regal Pleasure is down, and he's brought down Brahms and List, and also Freddie B. Those are the three that have gone. All the rest have cleared Beechers, and Glenrue is now clear. Glenrue from Royal Mere over in second. In third is Big Brown Bear. Then Mac Oliver moved into fourth. Then Run to Me. Behind Run to Me on the inside is Lumper Eater. With Lumper Eater is Preben Fur as they come to the canal turn, with Glenrue the leader by 3 lengths. Glenrue at the canal turn, over from Royal Mere. Big Brown Bear on the wide outside is Run to Me. Mac Oliver slipped through on the inside as they face up to Valentine's Brook. All over the canal turn, Glenrue over that from Royal Mere, Mac Oliver, Preben Fur, Big Brown Bear on the outside. Then Lumper Eater, and behind Lumper Eater is Staunton and Nickel Moffat as we rejoin John Hanmer.
And this is the fifth last, and Glenrue over clear of Royal Mere, then Big Brown Bear, Preben Fur, Mac Oliver, and then comes Staunton and Run to Me, and this is the last open ditch. 4 from home, Glenrue not so far in front now of Royal Mere. Then comes Preben Fur, Big Brown Bear, and Mac Oliver's fifth. Staunton under pressure is next. Then Run to Me, Lumperita and Nickel Moppet. And then comes Bright Oasis, the third last. Glenrue over in the lead, a mistake by Mac Oliver. And it's Glenrue from Preben Fur, Royal Mere. Then in fourth place, Big Brown Bear, then Staunton, Mac Oliver. And then comes Run to Me and Lumperita and Nickel Moppet. And going to the second last, Preben Fur joins Glenrue in the lead, and over to Peter O'Sullivan.
Yes, very little between Preben Fur and Glenrue. Then comes Staunton, then Royal Mere, then Run to Me making progress. Then comes Big Brown Bear. Mac Oliver just in behind the leaders. Lumperita not far behind them either, racing towards the second last. Glenrue, Preben Fur, these two from Royal Mere. Lumperita still making ground. Run to Me not far behind them, over the second last now. The white face of Glenrue on the near side goes right through it, but gets away with it. Preben Fur jumps in next. Then comes Royal Mere, racing down now towards the final fence, and it's Glenrue from Prebon Fir. Bright Oasis is making good ground. Then comes Run to Me, Staunton and Royal Mere, and it's still Glenrue from Prebon Fir. Then comes Bright Oasis in third, racing towards the elbow, and it's Glenrue who's made just about all the running so far from Prebon Fir. Bright Oasis finishing well at the elbow, and a furlong to run now, and it's Glenrue from Prebon Fir trying to challenge. Bright Oasis still making ground very fast towards the near side. Glenrue now from Bright Oasis, who moves into second as they race towards the line. It's Glenrue from Bright Oasis, and as they come to the line, it's just Glenrue from Bright Oasis. Glenrue from Bright Oasis. Run to Me ran on to be third. Behind them, Prebon Fir and Staunton and Mac Oliver and Royal Mere. Behind them, Lecky. Behind Lecky was Lamparita. And then Big Brown Bear and Nickel Moffat and Bright Beam, and then 14ers Express, and behind 14ers Express was Hill of Slane Cloncormick. And so the result, first, number 20, Glenrue, owned by Mr. Harry McClelland, trained by Terry Casey, his first winner of the season, and what a race to win for your first winner, and ridden by Richard Dunwoody. Second was number 6, Bright Oasis, owned by Lieutenant Colonel E.C. Phillips, and Mr. E.C. Phillips, trained by Kim Bailey and ridden by Mr. Tim Thompson-Jones. And I should tell you at this point that officially it's a photograph between these two, Glenrue and the very fast finishing Bright Oasis, with third, number 5, Run to Me.
Tremendous race it has been, and nice to see so many horses jumping round successfully here. I think it's the good ground that's helped them. The big white face here of Glenrue, who's only just come over from Ireland. He's had one run previous to this in England when he was third to Finesco at Huntingdon last week. And he's trained by Terry Casey at Adstone. This will be Terry's first or biggest win, definitely his first at Liverpool. This is his first season training, and he used to be with Grittar, you know. He used to look after Grittar at Frank Gilman's yard, so he knows all about Liverpool. But this desperately long run-in almost looks as if Terry's first win here was going to be taken from him, as Tim Thompson-Jones gets a whirlwind finish out of Bright Oasis, who'd come from some way back, but just not in time. What a terrific finish, and I should think Terry Casey will think this is marvellous.
Whitbread Trophy, usually there's a fall or two at the chair because it comes early on in the race and they're going a fair gallop. But today, look at that, they've all jumped it marvellously well. Nothing made a really bad mistake at all.
And then the race went on down to Beecher's Brook now, and still a lot of horses there.
Yes, there's still a lot of runners here. You'll see coming to it where you said earlier how on the inside they get a bit of room. Mac Oliver, Peter Scudamore taking that route right on the inside. You see he has all the room in the world.
Yes, and we have a faller here, and it's rare pleasure. And the outside of the leading three, they're very close together there, aren't they?
Just took his room a bit too. Gone Freddie B goes as well. I think they fell independently.
Yeah, and you can see the horses on the inside nodding. All the horses really nod to the ground at this big Lecky just going over it now, and they need to do that to rebalance themselves. But Glenrue, who'd set out in front, boldly going on, his big white face. This was the Foynaven fence, of course, smallest on the course.
Yes, no problem to him, though. He's been in a real good jumping exhibition round here, giving Richard Dunwoody nice game plan for West Tip, I think.
And Royal Mere in behind, he's running a good race too, but the race beginning to sort itself out already. Good fast ground, and they're going a fair pace. There's Glenrue, good mover, isn't he, on this?
Isn't he? And see how Richard just swings out to his right a little bit, then cuts in for this canal turn. It's very, very sharp angled, stands right off at it.
Oh, he kicked for a big one.
Yeah, and again, Royal Mere, he does the same. He jumps really well. You see the cute angle. They have to really drag themselves back round left-handed to straighten up again for Valentine's.
And, of course, jumping across that corner can save you a lot of energy and a lot of ground. There at the back is Bright Dream. He didn't seem to figure at all, but now heading for home, Glenrue nicely on the bridle. Richard Dunwoody getting super leaps out of this horse.
Yes, he looks like he's just out for a day's hunting here. It's marvellous when you see a horse jump these fences so well. There are naturals round here, and this horse obviously is one of them.
And Mac Oliver on the rails beginning to show distress signs, I thought then. You know, he wasn't actually enjoying himself.
No, he's had every chance. He's just starting to sort of put the flag up now.
But just see the horse's ears prick there as he weighed that fence up himself.
Yeah, I think you could have ridden him.
I doubt it, not at my weight. But now Big Brown Bear on the outside in the blue colours starting to come into the action. And Staunton as well. He's there with the orange sleeves. You can see, been point-to-pointing. And in the middle there, in the light colours, the red and white, that's Prebon Fir, who really gets into the action now, ridden by Phil Tuck, who of course rides Mr. Snugfit on Saturday.
Yep, you see Preben Fur come across the Melling Road in a minute, and that's looks then as if he's really going to take a very strong hand in the finish.
And still a lot of horses popping round, Bill. It's good to see, and it augurs well for Saturday.
It does. It's very good to see so many still standing.
Now, just coming to this big ditch, and Preben Fur just coming up now to join Glenrue in the front there, and going quite well.
Yes, Royal Mare's just weakening a bit on the inside. Definitely Mac Oliver's had enough.
And Big Brown Bear is tucked in behind them, Staunton in those orange colours, and now making a forward move in the bandages, white sleeves on the outside, just crossing the Anchorbridge Road. That was Run to Me. He hadn't been in the action for a long time. He's really starting to come Benny Powell Road.
You see Bright Oasis still behind them. He's quite a long way back.
In fact, Bright Oasis isn't
yet.
in the picture there, and
No.
yet he runs on to be second. What a terrific run he's got out of him.
There's...
Obviously, punters who've backed him will say, why wasn't he there earlier? But you're only there if you can be.
Yeah, and he is a very funny old horse. He does have to come very late on the scene. But mind you, this is quite late. I don't think he really intended to be this far behind. But here we see Preben Fur coming to the second last, and you'd think he was going to really take a closer hand in the finish, but neither actually jump it that well, particularly Preben Fur. We'll just see he doesn't get himself in a little bit of a heap at it.
Yes, they both go into the bottom, don't they? Yep, both take some of the birch with them. Royal Mere still there in third place, Staunton fourth, Run to Me going through to fifth, and I can't
still haven't seen the...
where the second horse has come from.
I think you must have missed him. I think he's behind Royal Mere, is he?
I think he must be, yes.
No, here we got him, yeah, he's outside there.
He swapped over. But now you can see Preben Fur and Phil Tuck, who must be thinking, well, this is a good omen for Saturday. He's just starting to weaken, though. One stride going well, the next stride he's beaten.
Yeah, which happens at this pace, and this long run in now. I've got a race to get to the elbow, and then yet another furlong to come from there.
Well, in fact, the second horse is back in fifth, sixth place there. In more than sixth, it must be eighth. Just behind the yellow colours of Royal Mere. So what a terrific run. Oh, he's third, yeah. But the big white head of Glenrue and Richard Dunwoody now just coming through. Richard, of course, who rides the favourite in the Seagram National West Tip. What a marvellous confidence booster, Bill, for a jockey.
Nothing like riding a winner around here anyway. And you can see Tim Thompson-Jones has got this horse running now at last, but the post is going to come just in time for the winner, and he's done a marvellous job. He's a funny old horse.
And of course, I think there was no doubt.
No, there's never any danger of it. The winner's won it. It's all fine.
Yes, and with me is the winning jockey, Richard Dunwoody. Well, Glenrue gave you a marvellous ride there.
Couldn't have asked for a better ride. He was super. Really, really good. Just made the one mistake at the second last. Besides that, I had a dream of a ride.
Did you expect to go off in front and make it?
Well, I intended jumping off down the inner. John Bryan was in front of me over the first two. Intended going down the inner and just seeing how things went, you know.
You couldn't see behind you, but every horse got over the first two fences and the chair, which is the first time I can remember that happening.
I've jumped the chair. Actually, I was wrong at the chair. I got a bit close to it, and he popped out over it, and he was great from there on.
And then when you went to Beechers, you were still in front, and the horses closest behind you both fell there.
I didn't know that. I've tracked across towards the middle and popped out over it. I didn't hear anything behind me.
And then it was ironic because coming to two out, there was you and Phil Tuck on Preben Fur, the jockeys of the first two in the Grand National. Yeah. Which of you was going best at the time?
I looked across and Phil seemed to be going quite easy. I was still on the bridle and going nicely. I felt like saying to them at the time, you can win today and I'll win on Saturday, but you know, Phil made a bad mistake at that second last as well, and you know, I stayed on well. I was just stopping up the run-in a little bit.
Your horse made a really serious mistake at the second last.
He did. He got right into the bottom of it, but he's been eventing. He's a big, clever horse, you know.
And it was just a question of whether you'd last home on the run-in. You went clear of the others, and then Bright Oasis came with a wet sail. Were you confident you could hold him?
I was just watching the replay, and I see he was a long way behind at the Melling Road. Made up a hell of a lot of ground, and another few strides and he'd have beaten me.
Well, I'm glad to say for you he didn't, and now you've got a chance to go and collect your trophy. Richard, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Favourite is pretty strong.